Hello all, and today we are going to be doing the American Presidential Election Series Part 11, this is. I'm trying on a different device because the other one had an echo to it, and it was really stupid weird. But yeah, we're starting off with the election of 1988. Today, I think we're gonna get to 1996, maybe 2000. We'll just see how far we get. We might even get all the way to present day, who knows. But one question remains to be answered, is that after the 2020 election, will I continue to make these election videos? And the answer is yes. Yes, I will. But enough with the intro, enough with the plug. Let's get through.
Mr. Beat presents Presidential Elections in American History. The 51st presidential election in American history took place on November 8th, 1988. It was the earliest one I actually remember. By many accounts, Ronald Reagan had a solid presidency. He helped end the Cold War, and the economy remained strong. But there was some bad stuff too, like the Iran-Contra affair, in which the Reagan administration secretly sold weapons to Iran in exchange for hostages, but also to pay the Contras, a rebel group in Nicaragua. Oh yeah, and it was later revealed the CIA was also sneaking in and selling millions of dollars worth of cocaine and sending the profits it made also to the Contras. But most Americans didn't know about that. And when Reagan appointed George H.W. Bush, his vice president, as the best man to be his successor, many Republicans were on board. Bush did face some challengers, though. One that stood out was Bob Dole, the senator from Kansas, who was Gerald Ford's running mate back when they failed to win the election of 1976. Another was, believe it or not, Pat Robertson, the former Southern Baptist minister and media mogul. In the Iowa caucus, Bush came in third, behind both Dole and Robertson, but Bush rebounded, eventually taking a strong lead to easily win the Republican nomination, with Dan Quayle, a young senator from Indiana, as his running mate. Quayle was a controversial pick among Republicans, though, because he was criticized for his lack of experience and sometimes stumbled over his words. The Democrats had the Seven Dwarfs. No, not those Seven Dwarfs. These Seven Dwarfs. Okay, that was sort of mean. But it's what critics called the 7 leading contenders for the Democratic nomination. They included Jesse Jackson, who was back for a second try, Al Gore, another young senator from Tennessee, Bruce Babbitt, the former governor of Arizona, Joe Biden, a senator from Delaware. Delaware? Sorry, Delaware. Then there was Richard Gephardt, a U.S. representative from Missouri. Paul Simon? No, not that Paul Simon. Yes, that one. A senator from Illinois who looked very good in bow ties. And finally, Michael Dukakis, the governor of Massachusetts. Now, the Democrats tried to recruit New York Governor Mario Cuomo to run, but he declined. Then there was Gary Hart, who at first seemed destined to become the nominee and the party's leader of the future. However, the media all of a sudden decided to pry into his personal life, and as it turns out, he was cheating on his wife. Many of his supporters turned against him after they found this out, and he ended up suspending his campaign because of it. With no clear frontrunner, the Democrats had a long and exciting primary race. In the end, it was Governor Dukakis who got the nomination. Jesse Jackson finished second, and his supporters argued he should be Dukakis' running mate because of that. But Dukakis disagreed, instead choosing Lloyd Bentsen, a senator from Texas. The Bush campaign aggressively attacked Dukakis. Bush capitalized on the word liberal, which was now considered by many a dirty word to call a politician. He called Dukakis a liberal when it came to everything. A guy named Lee Atwater helped circulate rumors to the media that Dukakis' wife Kitty had burned an American flag to protest the Vietnam War, even though it wasn't true. Bush argued Dukakis was ignorant when it came to the military.
We do have our Democrats. Sorry for letting it go so long. But the results are about to come anyway. I'm voting for George H.W. Bush because Reagan has had a decent presidency and the economy is doing well. 1991 comes along. Yeah, that didn't go so well.
military, and Dukakis responded poorly to these criticisms and rumors. I mean, he staged a poor debate performance, and the fact that Bush was capitalizing on a good economy and Reagan's popularity all greatly hurt Dukakis. And here are the results. George Herbert Walker Bush easily won, becoming the 41st president in American history. He received 426 electoral votes and 53.4% of the popular vote. Surprisingly, since this election, no candidate has been able to match or surpass these numbers. Michael Dukakis received just 111 electoral votes and 45.6% of the popular vote. Bush became the first sitting vice president to win a presidential election in 152 years. The last one was Martin Van Buren back in 1830. Dan Quayle became the 44th.
I love that comment there on Van Buren. But because they deleted the playlist, I can't exactly go straight on to the next one. I kind of have to type it. A little stupid, but I'll go with it. We're almost done anyway.
Mr. Beat presents Presidential Elections in American History. The 52nd presidential election in American history took place on November 3rd, 1992. Read my lips.
One second, guys.
George H.W. Bush had alienated most conservatives by straight up breaking that pledge. I mean, man, he tried, but he ended up having to give in, compromise.
Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second.
Went back into a recession, and yet Bush remained popular with the majority of Americans. After the United States and coalition forces kicked butt in the Persian Gulf War, his approval rating got as high as 89%. This likely helped Bush get the Republican renomination, with Dan Quayle again as his running mate. However, it's worth noting that Pat Buchanan, a journalist and former advisor to Presidents Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, and Ronald Reagan, challenged Bush and put up a good fight. Buchanan's main beef with Bush was the fact that he raised taxes. The Democratic Party again had several candidates interested in their nomination. None of them had run for president in the last election. Senator Al Gore would have, but his son was recovering from a horrible car accident, so he decided not to run again. One of the candidates who ran was Bob Kerrey, a senator from Nebraska, who I am only mentioning because I had a fantastic conversation with him when I used to live in Omaha. But yeah, he couldn't gain any momentum. The leading three contenders were Bill Clinton, the governor of Arkansas, Jerry Brown, the former governor of California, and Paul Tsongas, a former senator from Massachusetts. Despite the fact that several scandals seemed to follow Bill Clinton no matter where he went, including a scandal that alleged he cheated on his wife, Hillary Clinton. Have you heard of her? His charm won over most Democrats. Clinton became the nominee, and he asked Al Gore to be his running mate. Back in February of 1992, a billionaire businessman named Ross Perot appeared on Larry King Live to open the possibility of running for president despite...
I'm just gonna give it away here so that you don't have to watch here much more. Ross Perot did run for president with, I forget who was his running mate, but let's see if we can find it in the transcripts here. There it is, James Stockdale. I probably would have voted for Clinton because the economy's now not doing so well. And Clinton seems to have charm. He does have a lot of controversy, but ain't no way I'm voting for that Perot guy.
Here are the results. Bill Clinton won, becoming the 42nd president in American history. He received 370 electoral votes and 43% of the popular vote. George H.W. Bush finished second, receiving 168 electoral votes and 37.5% of the popular vote. Ross Perot finished third, receiving 18.9% of the popular vote, but no electoral votes, as his support was pretty consistent across the country. It was the best third-party performance in the popular vote since the election of 1912. Al Gore became the 45th vice president in American history.
Yep. Yes, he did, and I am not going to make you sit through the next minute and a half. Instead, I am just going to go straight on to the next election.
Let me show
show you how we do stuff around here.
Actually, my department uses Monday.com, so I'm good.
The work management tool? Mr. Beat presents Presidential Elections in American History. The 53rd presidential election in American history took place on November 5th, 1996. It featured a dude from Kansas, a dude from Arkansas really, and another dude from Texas. At first, it wasn't looking so good for Bill Clinton. He faced the Republican Revolution of 1994, in which the Republican Party took control of both houses of Congress and state governments in a long time. In fact, this was the first time Republicans held the majority in the House of Representatives in 40 years. Clinton also hadn't held up to promises to cut taxes and reduce the deficit. Plus, he wanted to take away the Second Amendment. Oh, I joke. But seriously, he signed the federal assault weapons ban, which didn't get him any friends in the National Rifle Association. However, the economy was getting better, and the United States was the only superpower left on the world stage. So we were like, what's up now, world? Clinton maybe had a chance. He and Al Gore were easily renominated. Many Republicans fought for the nomination, but the top three contenders were Steve Forbes, a publishing executive from New Jersey, Pat Buchanan, who still had strong support despite his losing effort in 1992, and Bob Dole, the Kansas senator who ran back in 1988. Steve Forbes stood out as the dude who really pushed for the flat income tax. Pat Buchanan was the paleo-conservative type, kind of like Alex Jones, but not as crazy. Dole, who was more moderate and more of an establishment type, of course won the nomination, with Buchanan coming in second and Steve Forbes coming in third. Dole picked Jack Kemp, a former representative from New York, former Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, and former professional football player as his running mate. And Texas billionaire Ross Perot was back. He and his supporters created a new political party called the Reform Party. Perot originally did not want to run again, but after the Federal Election Commission said that the Reform Party would only get federal matching funds if Perot ran, Perot changed his mind and entered the race. However, the Commission on Presidential Debates, made up of only Democrats and Republicans by the way, arbitrarily changed its rules for the 1996 debates to not include Perot. Many argue that because he wasn't invited to the debates, his poll numbers were also hurt. Perot's running mate was Pat Choate, an economist from Texas. But Bill Clinton and Bob Dole were allowed to debate. Age seemed to be an issue with the campaigns. Dole, who was 73 years old, had to fight off the perception that he was an old fogey out of touch with the issues. He mistakenly referred to the Los Angeles Dodgers as the Brooklyn Dodgers, even though the Dodgers left Brooklyn 38 years earlier. At a stop in California, he fell off a stage. However, to show everyone he was healthy, Dole released his medical records. And he even joked that the reason why he fell was that he was just trying to do the Macarena. Dole tried to use his age to his advantage, arguing that he came from the great generation that won World War II, while his opponent, Clinton, was just a spoiled baby boomer. While Clinton didn't directly attack Dole about his age, Clinton did question the age of Dole's ideas. Oh snap, and here...
That is one I did want you to see, because A, it's really short, and B, it's kind of funny. But in this election, I'm voting for Bob Dole, because yes, Bob Dole is an establishment candidate, and, you know, even though our economy is doing better, sure, Bill Clinton has even more scandals following him than he did in 1992.
Here are the results. Bill Clinton easily won re-election, receiving 379 electoral votes and 49.2% of the popular vote. He was the first Democrat to win re-election since Franklin Roosevelt, and at 50 years and 2 months old, he became the youngest president to ever be re-elected. Bob Dole received 159 electoral votes and 40.7% of the popular vote. That old fogey Bob Dole, by the way, is still alive and still active. I spent many months in a building named after him and dedicated to...
Is Dole still alive? That's a good question that I am going to go ahead and answer right now. I highly doubt it. Yeah, no, he died in December of 2021. Oh my god, though, did he live quite a life. And he was from Russell, Kansas. Yeah, let's go on to the election of 2000! I'm sure Beat was just as excited to get done with this series as I am. Mr. beat. Hold on. Was the presidential election of 2000 deleted? I guess it was. Okay, I didn't mean to click that. I guess I'll just explain this one then, and go straight on to 2004. No, Ralph Nader did not spoil the 2000 election, but, I can't find the 2004 election either. What the hell? Okay, then I guess... Whoa, I didn't mean to make it that small. I guess I'm just going to explain these ones then. So, the 2000 election came, and the Republican primary nominated... The Republican nominee primary had its leading contender John McCain, who did not see George W. Bush, son of George H.W. Bush, coming. Spoiler alert, Judge W. Bush got nominated with Dick Cheney as his running mate. Democrats nominated Vice President Al Gore with Joe Lieberman as his running mate. Things were tense, things were close. And here are the results. Well, there weren't clear results. Florida was too close to call, with neither man winning the election. Al Gore had 266 electoral votes and the plurality of the electoral vote. But George W. Bush ended up coming out on top in Florida at 271 votes. George W. Bush became the 43rd president in American history. 2004, George W. Bush and Dick Cheney ran again. And Democrats nominated John Kerry with John Edwards as his running mate. And George W. Bush, in another close election, won a second term. Don't tell me I have to do 2008 myself as well. I guess I do. Okay, 2000. Oh wait, it still says 2004. 8. 2012. Oh no, I have to do everything between that and 2012. Okay, 2008. Bush decides to quietly exit politics because of the housing crisis and everything else. So, Republicans decided to nominate John McCain with Sarah Palin, governor of Alaska, as his running mate. Democrats decided to nominate rising star Barack Obama with Senator of Delaware Joe Biden as his running mate. And here are the results. Barack Obama won, becoming the 44th president in American history. And Joe Biden became the 47th vice president in American history. Let's go to 2012.
Listen, there's a good chance somebody's trying to hack your website right now. You gotta...
Mr. Beat presents Presidential Elections in
This is one of the
American
longer ones.
History. The 57th presidential election in American history took place on November 6th, 2012. My 31st birthday. Oh crap, I'm getting old. Barack Obama became president as the economy really sucked. It was known as the Great Recession, and the Obama administration's solution was to have the federal government micromanage the economy in a way somewhat similar to Franklin Roosevelt's administration. Then again, the George W. Bush administration micromanaged quite a bit too. Obama continued the bailouts of corporations, but also of ordinary people, and he signed laws like the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. Act to try to get the country out of the recession. By 2012, the recession was over, but the economy just trudged along. It was nothing to get too excited about. And the rich kept getting richer and the poor kept getting poorer. This led to unrest on both sides of the political spectrum, with the Tea Party movement on the right and the Occupy Wall Street movement on the left. Still, Obama kept a campaign promise by bringing the troops home from Iraq. Well, kind of. We still have military bases there. Obama did send more troops to fight in Afghanistan, and we are in fact still fighting there right now. Obama also sent troops to...
Update since the recording of Bates' video, Afghanistan troops did come back in 2021.
Libya and expanded the drone strikes in several countries to continue the war on terror, especially in Pakistan. Speaking of Pakistan, on May 1st, 2011, U.S. Navy SEALs killed Osama bin Laden, the dude who claimed responsibility for the 9/11 attacks, after they found him hiding seemingly in plain sight in Pakistan. Of course, the most famous and probably biggest accomplishment during Obama's term in office was his signing of the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare. The main objectives of the law were to make sure everyone had health insurance and to lower the cost of health care. The Democratic Party still loved Barack Obama, and he was easily renominated, along with the 47th Vice President in American history, Joe Biden. Hi, Joe.
Hello!
The Republican Party, meanwhile, had some division. Yet again, quite a few nominees competed for their nomination. The leading four were former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney, back again trying for the nomination after not getting it in 2008. U.S. Representative Ron Paul, also back a second time trying for the nomination after not getting it in 2008. Rick Santorum, a former senator from Pennsylvania, and Newt Gingrich, the former Speaker of the House, who led the Republican Revolution of 1994. I have to mention that Gingrich used to teach both history and geography at the University of West Georgia. The Republican candidates had some heated debates and definitely disagreed on several issues. It seemed like it would be tough for the party to unite behind one candidate, but they somehow did. They nominated Mitt Romney, although many Ron Paul supporters resisted his nomination, and Paul himself did not endorse Romney. Romney was the first Mormon to run for president to be nominated by a major political party. Romney picked Paul Ryan, a U.S. representative from Wisconsin, as his running mate. The Libertarian Party...
No, I'm
Okay.
gonna be pissed about one of my
I am voting
NPCs.
for
He keeps falling into the
Barack
water,
Obama.
right?
I mean,
And
he
you are
did some
drowning.
great for the economy.
Results. Yeah, Romney didn't win. But Barack Obama
God,
did,
Damien.
becoming the third president in a row to be re-elected. Obama received
But you better not be
332
dying
electoral
on me
votes
again,
and
boy.
51.1% of the popular vote.
Maybe
Romney
dying
received
again,
just
no.
206
Bitch.
electoral votes and 47.2% of the popular vote. The electoral map looked pretty similar to the 2008 election, although Obama became the
Having
first
my skin in
president
me.
re-elected with fewer electoral votes and less of a popular vote percentage since Franklin Roosevelt in 1944. I keep bringing up FDR. Is that why so many people call Obama a socialist? Gary
Yeah.
Johnson finished
Every
first.
month longer.
Wow. Okay, we're gonna see if we can do 2016 and 2020. I can't believe we are almost done with this series. This may be the very last one. This is a longer one. This is a pretty long one.
Mr. Beat presents Presidential Elections in American History. The 58th presidential election in American history took place on November 8th, 2016. The biggest thing Barack Obama could take credit for was a rebounding economy. Just before Election Day, unemployment was under 5%. Sure, plenty of Americans were underemployed, and wealth inequality kept getting worse and worse, and Obamacare was not stopping higher and higher healthcare costs. But at least there was some stability in financial markets and the economy was growing. Meanwhile, a new Islamic fundamentalist terrorist group called ISIS, armed with American weapons, took over parts of Iraq and Syria. In fact, the world seemed to be a scarier place as more and more
God damn, they
terrorists
took my
attacked
cat.
civilians all over the place. Back at home, institutional racism raged on, as it had throughout the entire history of the United States. But now people began fighting back. An entire movement called Black Lives Matter rose up to protest against police brutality that seemed to disproportionately affect African Americans.
Yeah,
2016 wasn't
your
as
favorite
violent as
song
1968 or
of that whole
1919, but it sure
season?
seemed that way by watching the news. In fact, people were afraid of things that weren't even there. Perhaps this explains the rise of Donald Trump. Trump had been a celebrity for decades as a very wealthy businessman and reality TV star.
Bradford, you're fired.
Oh
my god, oh my god, oh my god.
He had always
Yeah, and
flirted
another
with
one
the idea of
is
running
that
for
they
president, but
looked
no
them
one had
up.
taken it
Maybe you
seriously,
saw
even
something
when
on
he
YouTube,
actually
you could
finally
name the
announced
actual
he was
name for it.
officially running.
One
On
of them
June
is
16,
one song to me
2015,
like
few
is
people in the
Poison.
media still didn't take him seriously. He even got criticized for having paid actors to attend to cheer him on at the announcement. But his vague
Why does that
language
represent
about
me more?
making America
Does
great
that represent
again
me
really
more?
resonated with a lot of Americans. But first, he had to defeat a lot of other Republicans winning the nomination. I will just mention 5 others, as that's all I have the energy for. There was Jeb Bush, the brother of former President George W. Bush, and son of former President George H.W. Bush, and
Finally,
former
he
governor of Florida.
actually
I mean, when
spawned
both your
somewhere
daddy
he
and your
didn't
bro
need
are
to
president,
die.
you probably should run, right? There was
Good.
Ben Carson,
He
a
didn't
retired
die.
neurosurgeon originally
That's
from
good,
Michigan.
PC.
Marco Rubio, a senator from Florida, Ted Cruz, a senator from Texas, and John Kasich, the governor of Ohio. Just like in 2012, there seemed to be a
and
lot
I
of
have a
division
fucked up
within the
beef for
Republican
some
Party.
reason.
However, most of the other candidates were soon able to unite against a common
Beef.
enemy, Donald Trump, who, believe it or not, soon became
Yeah,
the
like-
frontrunner. Because of the Trump effect, candidates often made vicious attacks,
something
and
goes
Trump
nuts
said
if yours
things
don't
never
have one.
before imagined on the campaign trail. Trump made the debates more exciting to watch, with his colorful and sometimes shocking
Oh my-
language. The more offensive he seemed to
I'm
be,
still
the
in
more
pretty
people
hard
seemed to
mode
love
right
him.
now,
The
and I'm
establishment
getting a lot
didn't
more
know what to
things
do.
done.
One
Just
by one,
unhappy
the other
with my shit to the
Republicans
bottom
went
now.
down. Ted Cruz put up the best fight of all. Like Trump, Cruz was also considered an outsider, but Trump was successful at making Cruz seem untrustworthy. He branded him
Lying tough.
Yep, despite the naysayers and the never
Okay, we're-
seeming Indiana as his running mate. The Democratic Party also had division in this election. Seemingly before the dawn of time, Hillary Clinton, the now former Secretary of State, was destined to be elected president in 2016. So when she struggled to even get the Democratic nomination, everyone knew this election was different. Bernie Sanders, the independent senator from Vermont, put up quite the fight against Clinton. Sanders joined the Democratic Party because he knew from personal experience that running as a third-party candidate was so difficult. He was never one who could easily be classified, but one thing was for sure. He leaned further to the left than Clinton. He tried to make socialism not such a dirty word anymore. After Sanders first announced his campaign, the media also did.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna tell you, Clinton got nominated with Tim Kaine as his running mate.
And here are the results. This was a squeaker, folks. It wasn't until early the next morning that the majority of the country found out that Donald Trump won, becoming the 45th president in American history. The results frankly shocked the heck out of the majority of the country. The mainstream
Max,
media
if you have to
especially
cosplay as
didn't see
any
it coming.
characters
Trump received
from
304
Castle
electoral
Hotel, which
votes, and
character would
Clinton
you cosplay
received
as?
227 electoral votes. But Clinton received nearly 3 million more votes than Trump did overall. She got
I can
48% of the
tell you
popular
who
vote,
been
while Trump got
taken
46%
so
of the
far
popular vote. Needless
in
to
this
say,
household.
a bunch of people began complaining about the Electoral College again.
And I see why, but
What?
the last
No!
election
That's
of
what the
this
wrong
series.
NPC.
First of all, I want to thank everyone who has been watching this series so
on.
much for being so
saying,
patient
if
with
you have to
me.
cosplay one
I've been
Nutella
doing
bar,
this since
has
I
been
want to say
hotel
July
characters,
of
which one will it be?
22. I'm not sure when my first. I'll have to
Devil's
look it
Always
up, but
Alistair.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
I
much
took
for being
Husk.
so patient with me.
Alright.
With all the breaks I've
Hey, all of you
taken and
daddies.
everything else.
Kelly is
This
Angel
is,
Dust.
oh god, the very last election, and I have to explain it to... Lovely! Okay.
And Loki Sam is the TV guy. Not Val. Yeah, Vox. I was hoping being Vox because he's
Donald Trump had a decent presidency up until the coronavirus attacked the country. Had killed about 235 million thousand Americans by the election day, but the Republicans still easily renominated Trump with Pence as his running mate. Democrats had many people up for their series, but Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden were the front runners. And people in the Democratic establishment did not want Sanders nominated, so they nominated Joe Biden for president. Joe Biden won, getting 306 electoral votes and 51.3% of the popular vote. Trump got 232 electoral votes and 46.9% of the popular vote. Safe to say people did not want Trump anymore. But that is when this series is going to come to an end. Thank you so much for being so patient with me. And let me know if you want more series like this or if you want more short form videos. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel.
Lucifer to him too. He could be him, but